Good evening, everyone. So, this is Kimberly Streeter for the Unit 1 response for the interview. So, compare the different interview styles that are discussed in the textbook. So, I think the first and most important um, element of interviewing, and a great tip that Professor Jarvis talks about is doing your research on the company. So there are some key things that you should know about the company that you're interviewing for. The first is the owner's name, then a few key stakeholders. Next, how long the business has been alive, and then any affiliations that the business is affiliated with. And then last but not least, you need to know the mission statement of the company. So that way you know how you are supposed to govern yourself if you do, in fact, are awarded the position. So there are 4 key interview styles that we should be prepared for. So the first is a phone interview. This is a real interview, so make sure you take it seriously. Make sure that you're able to talk when they contact you. Make sure that you are undistracted, because it's really important that you listen to the questions and answer it as if you are actually in a face-to-face interview. And then the most important thing is making sure that you are not in an area where the background is loud, because the worst thing that they can ask, or the worst thing that they can say, is "I can't hear you," or "Should I call you back later?" Things like that. So the second interview is an one-on-one interview. So this is usually the most common interview. It entails meeting with a supervisor more than likely. Then this is an open discussion for them to fill you out. There are usually a set of questions that they would like for you to answer, and they kind of want to see and get a feel of who you are as an individual, and see if your skill sets meet the requirements for the position. The next interview type is a group interview. So I've done several group interviews, and they can range from between 30 to 50 candidates at one time. I kind of look at it as a speed dating type of situation where you guys are all given questions, and you guys need to answer them, and then you move on to the next interviewer or supervisor. Excuse me. This is where you need to be mentally prepared. You need to listen attentively, because you definitely do not want to answer the question with an answer that was already said. So this allows supervisors to see if you're able to think quickly, and if you're quick on your feet. And during this interview, you definitely want to stand out from the group. So this is where you need to bring your passion for the industry, as well as your personality and your confidence to ensure your position. The next and final interview style is a panel interview. So this can be one of the most intimidating interviews. I've done a few panel interviews, and I can say honestly, when I first applied to the community college setting, that was the first interview that I was hit with. It was 8 people. I'll never forget it. And when I walked in, I started sweating bullets. Like, initially, I'm like, what did I get myself into? However, having confidence in your craft, and, having a passion for what you really want to do, it really does help you in these interviews. So again, these interviews can be between 3 to even 8 people. They consist of supervisors, maybe the CEO is even there, or the director. Sometimes they have human resource individuals there, and psychologists, just to make sure that you are mentally fit. It's very important to make eye contact with everyone in the room while answering questions, making a more personalized experience. And then I think that Professor Jarvis has a great discussion about the ending question. So when they ask you, do you have anything to add? I think it's really important that gives you the time to begin talking about your specific strengths, as well as your passion for the industry in the position, giving them a little bit more background about who you are and why you want the position. So these are the 4 interview types. And then since we are talking about, sports interviews, I think the professor does a great job talking about the dress code. Yes, it's sports, but you also want to make sure that you understand that this is a professional interview. So you need to come in your business attire. Make sure that you have a portfolio or your resume and a nice folder. Makes it look a lot more professional. And so, yeah, I think these are great tips, and I look forward to reviewing everyone else's responses.